Hey guys, just a quick note here. We're going to be updating the schema codes from time to time, so make sure to check out the resources section down below for the updated versions. Hey guys, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your schema on your site. But before we get started, let's talk about what schema is first. So schema is actually a piece of code. It's microdata, or some people call it structured data. So it's a piece of code that helps Google understand what your web page is about. So that's the most basic explanation that I have for schema. So there are actually two popular ways to set up your schema. Number one is to set it up through a plugin. So plugins are actually easy to use. Most of them are just like filling the blanks, but there are actually a few downsides to using a plugin. So number one, most of these plugins add code to your site that ends up kind of slowing down your website. And number two, most of these plugins aren't customizable, which means you can't just keep adding or removing lines to it. You got to take it for what it is. And number three, these you kind of like rely on the plugin, right? So if the plugin breaks or if the plugin is not compatible with your website or you don't update the plugin, then it kind of breaks all the schema on all of your pages. So those are the downsides of using a plugin. So the number two method, which is the method that we prefer to use, which is manually adding a piece of code on every single page of your site. Yes, it's a tedious process because you got to add it onto every single page of your site, but the process is actually pretty simple. It's easy to repeat, so you can have your VA do it for you. So that solves the issue. So the reason why we like this method is because for one, yeah, it's also easy to use. It's just repetitive. And number two, you can easily customize it. And number three, it doesn't slow down your site because it's just one piece of code that you add onto your site. And before we get into the different types of schema that we use on our affiliate sites, I'm going to show you how simple adding the schema is. So if you're using WordPress or Thrive, you can do it two ways. You can add it through WordPress or you can add it through Thrive. So say, for example, this is the piece of code. You have, for example, your web page. Let's take a look. Okay, so the first one is you can add it through the HTML editor on WordPress. So you just go to text and then scroll all the way down, and then you can add the schema down at the bottom, and that's it. So you just paste in the code in here, and that's it. It's going to show up like this. Like this is the script. So yeah, the schema is on your page, and that's it. Hey guys, one thing to note, we're only using Thrive Builder for these demos as it was the easiest page builder to use at the time of the recording. But please feel free to use any page builder of your choice. And the number two version is to add it through Thrive. There's actually two ways you can do it on Thrive. Number one, you can do a custom code, then add the code into the body scripts. And the other one is to actually add it on Thrive. So if you go to Thrive, you can create an HTML element. Let me just load it up for you. So you can also add it in here. If this setting doesn't show up on your Thrive, you can add it on your Thrive page itself. Just grab the HTML, custom HTML, down to the bottom, and then paste the code in like that. And then that's going to add the schema on your page. And that's it. So now let's talk about the three different schemas. So let's talk about the article schema first. So what do we use this one for? So basically for us, we typically use it for informational pages, blog posts, or roundup reviews. So let's get into what type of information to put in for each of these lines of codes. So for the headline, we normally just put in the SEO title here. So it might look like 5 best protein powders, 2021 review, or something like that. And then for the alternative headline, we're going to basically just use the H1 here. Maybe it's like, what is the best protein powder? And then maybe buying guide and reviews, something like that. The name, we'll probably just put in the main keyword here, so best protein powders. For the date published and date modified, those are pretty self-explanatory. This is when you've published the page. Date modified is the last time you edited the page. For the description, we just put in the meta description here. As for the keywords, basically the keywords that this page is trying to rank for. So we typically just aim for about 7 maximum keywords here. So we'll just use a bunch of different variations. So it might be protein powders, protein powder, and then best protein powders, and stuff like that. As for the citations, these will be the reference links or the authority links that we use to kind of give more information to what the page is about. So it might be Wikipedia links, it might be a link to Healthline, or maybe a PubMed link. So we're going to use those reference links for the citations. As for the images, so basically we just use the cover photo here. So whatever cover photo we use, we're going to put the URL here. You can just copy the image address and then put the URL here, and then the dimensions of the image, and that should be it. As for the author, obviously the author of the page or whoever's author that's listed on the page, that's what we're going to be putting here. As for the publisher, the organization, this one will be the name of the company. As for the same as, this one will be the properties that you have, like social media properties. Maybe you also have, like citations or high quality directories, stuff like that that actually talk about your company, to kind of give Google just like it just gives Google like, okay, these URLs are the same as this company. So it just helps it put everything together. As for the logo, this is just going to be your company logo, and then that should be it. So moving on to the next schema, let's talk about the organization schema. So what type of pages do we put the organization schema on? So for us, we just put it on company pages and the home page. So it's going to be the about page, contact us page, privacy policy, terms and condition. Maybe you have a jobs page or careers page, advertising pages, stuff like that, like just company information pages. This is what we're going to be using for those. So it's pretty much the same thing to fill these out, but name is going to be obviously the name of your company. Legal name, also the same thing. Slogan, if you have like a slogan for your website, that's where you're going to be putting it. That's what you're going to be putting in here. Description is a description of your company, typically the same thing that you use for your citations, like however you want to describe the business or the company. Location, this is going to be the main location where your company is located. The URL will be obviously the homepage URL of your site. Email will be the main contact email for your website. Telephone number will be obviously telephone number of your website. Contact point, we're going to be using the main persona here. I misspelled my name. Founder, same thing. Founding date, pretty self-explanatory. Founding location, same as well. Employee, this is where you can put all the personas on your website. So if you have multiple personas, like maybe a marketing director, content manager, stuff like that, you can put them all in here. And area served, you can put in as many as you want here for all the stuff for all the places they actually serve. So yeah, you can put USA, UK, Australia, Canada, and all the main ones if you want to put it in here. If you want to stick with just one area, that's perfectly fine as well. Same as will be the same one as the previous one. This one will be properties that you own that are talking about your company. So it could be your Facebook page, your Twitter account, about me, a LinkedIn page. What else do we have? Maybe you have another, like I don't know, like a Wikipedia page for your business. You can also put that in here. Address, obviously, this will be the main address of your business. And then that's pretty much it. For the last schema type that we use is the product schema. So this one will be for your single product reviews. So it's pretty self-explanatory as well. For the image, obviously, this one will be the main image of the product. For the name, GTINA-SKU, we just use the product name here. So for this example, I'm just using Optimum Nutrition Protein Powder. Obviously, you can just change this one into your whichever product you're actually putting this schema on. And then for this description, this one will be, normally what we use is the meta description. For the brand, Yeah, the name is just going to be the brand name. So we're just going to put in here Optimum Nutrition since that is the brand. And then same as here, we'll just put in um, properties that are that talk about the brand. So we'll put in the main or the official website of the brand. Maybe they have a Wikipedia page, their social media profiles. This is where we'll put it. And then for the offers, for the URL, this is where we put the affiliate link. So if you have an Amazon link, you can put it in here. If you have a quote link to a private affiliate offer, this is where you put it. As for the item condition, I would just leave it as brand new. Availability, we'll put it as in stock. Price, you can edit in here. Price currency, same thing. Price valid until, and then you'll just put in, for us, we just put in the last date of the year, and that's pretty much it. As for the review, the date published, we'll just put in the the date published of the page itself. So if we publish this page or this review 2 years ago, that's what we'll put in here. As for the URL, this is where we'll put in the actual URL of your review page. So it might be fitness247.com/ optimum nutrition review, and that's where you put this URL. I mean, that URL. In language, if you're English, obviously you want to use ENUS. If you're reviewing it in a different language, you want to update this one. As for the description, I normally just put in a review of this product in the description. Um, as for the review rating, these are all editable based on what you think of the product. As for the author, we'll just put in the name of the author of the review, and then works for is the company or your business. Um, for the aggregate rating, we'll just put in as well like numbers here based on our own review, and that should be it. Like all these schemas are basically error free and they work perfectly fine. And we're going to continuously update these schemas. We might be adding new lines, removing lines. And if you don't see like, because I pretty much explained every single line here and what they mean and what they're meant for and what information to use for them. If we do add new lines and you don't understand what they're for, or it's not included in the video just yet, you can just go straight to schema.org and try to find those lines in schema.org. They have a pretty good way of explaining what each line means and what each line is meant for. So yeah, just go to schema.org, look into all these things. So you can just copy and paste. You'll be able to find what they actually mean. So for example, like this availability, it talks about like, this is what you should be putting in here. This one will be the example. You can just go to microdata and then look for availability here. Actually, JSON LD is probably easier. You can go to availability here. You can just look into what they're actually using to kind of figure out what to do with those new lines. So yeah, that's it for this video.